Hey guys, it is time for the Midweek Lift. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you read Kim Floyd's devotional on 2 Timothy 3. And I don't know about you, but 2 Timothy 3 starts out, hey, mark this, and there'll be terrible times in the last days. And whenever I hear the term last days, I immediately go to this posture that I don't like in myself, where I'm kind of like, I don't want to hear about this, or maybe I get a little defensive about it, or maybe I'm skeptical about it, because there's just been so much abuse of the last days stuff, right? And people just trying to interpret every world event that's ever happened as if it's the next page in Revelation. But if you read what Paul's writing Timothy, he doesn't get into any of that. He just says, hey, here's the thing. There's going to be bad stuff. People are going to love themselves, love money, boast, be proud, abusive, disobedient, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, treacherous, rash, and all this kind of stuff. They're going to love everything other than God. And what Paul is saying here is, as time progresses, generations of people who don't seek the Lord will sow into their children behaviors that are further from the Lord, and they'll sow into their children behaviors that are further from the Lord. And I mean, you can see this, right? Like there's cycles of abuse and cycles of poverty and cycles of addiction that go from generation to generation. And it's so hard to break out of those things. And I think what Paul is saying is, hey, Timothy, it's not going to get better away from God. But then he flips it around and says, but you saw what happened in my life, and you see what's happening in your life, and you know that Scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching you a way that gets out of that trap. And so I don't think this chapter is predicting that the world has to get worse and worse and worse and the end comes. I think what this chapter is predicting is that the more time we spend away from God, or the more generations we spend away from God, the thicker the bondage becomes around us, right? The heavier the chains become, the more difficult, the deeper the mud gets, the harder it is to get out of it. But the good news is Scripture is up to the task. The words are there to break the bonds. No matter how deep you're entrenched, no matter how heavily chained you are, we've seen it happen. God sets people free. And the Scripture is God-breathed, and it's useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. Believe that the answers are in Scripture, not in the wisdom of this world. Thanks.